Okay, this is Ringwalk Media in association with Wellness Therapy and Barclay Carter Racing. We've got the man of the hour. How are you, Adam?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well.
Well, you've had a little run-in with Mr. Chisora this week. I'm sure your phone's been going a bit mad. Well, tell us about all that.
Yeah, so it wasn't staged. Derek, he's trying to sell a fight, right? He's calling everyone names, whatever, but that's fine. We went to the O2 to go up the O2, and he didn't want to go up. Fair enough, again. But then all the camera people were going up, and they had to come back down, and he was shouting at them. I don't know if you heard it, because I know you were there, but he was shouting at them. He was like, "Get down there, you effers!" You're wasting my effing time. And I thought, that's so out of order. So out of order for someone who's caused all this. And then I was just stood in my mind of my business. And then someone comes with a microphone and a camera. And Derek's like, hello, pussy boy, what are you up to? And I thought, oh, mate, I'm sick of this. So I told him what I thought. I told him to go up there because he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed and he was ashamed by a much smaller person. And he went up.
I tell you what, you are a little bit smaller than him, and you took some plums to stand there and do that, didn't it?
Oh, I mean, look, as I was saying before, he wasn't in an aggressive mood. It was like it's fine. Like when you've got a dog, you should know when to like pet it and when to stand away from it. He was not the aggressive Derek Chisora dog. That's why I did that. As many people have suggested online, in a different situation, he would do this, that, and the other to me. I'm sure he would. Like I wouldn't stand a chance against Derek Chisora. But I'm saying at that moment, I felt him embarrassed, and I wanted him to go up.
You read the situation very well, sir. Well, listen, this is kind of a unique fight. I haven't seen one like this for a little while. Um, Joe's obviously very well documented where his career's gone so far, and he's still not finished. And I think a lot of people wrote him off after the two losses from Zhang, but he's still got a bit in a tank, and I think this is a perfect fight for him to get his name back out there and in the mix again.
I think a lot of people look. The thing about boxing is a very short-term memory game, right? August 2022, I think, it was 2022. Joshua loses for the second time to Usyk. Everyone thinks he's finished. Joe Joyce beats Parker 1 month later. Joe Joyce is here. Joshua's here, right?
What a fight that was, by the way.
Great fight, but that's what happens. But Joshua's shown what can happen. He came back. He wasn't finished. He's now fighting Dubois, probably earning hundreds of millions of pounds. So I think you have to see, like, no one's talking about the Usyk losses anymore with Joshua. He's beaten Francis Ngannou. He's beaten Jermaine Franklin. He's beaten Otto Wallin. Not loads of tons of world beaters in there. Well match made, brought him back to the top, and that's what we've got to do with Joe Joyce, and that's what we're in the process of doing. Okay, Cash Ali performance wasn't brilliant, but he got the job done. Now we want to see a better performance against Chisora, and then Chisora win, another win, then Joe Joyce can talk about fighting the top guys again.
I think that's the beauty of Queensbury and boxing at the moment. There's so many opportunities still out there. If you don't win a fight,
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Joe's a top 10 heavyweight, no doubt about it. When he beat Joseph Parker, he was a top 3 heavyweight. He's now a top 10 heavyweight. There's tons of fights for him. Saudi are really into heavyweight boxing. There's this huge opportunity, like you, to have a name, and Joe Joyce is a name. He's not someone who sells tickets to their friends and family, like, or their small community. Members of the public buy tickets to see a name in the same way they do a Fury or a Chisora or a Dillian White. And when you've got to that level and you can produce like he can, you've got a good career.
definitely have. And he's an incredibly nice guy, but I think he's almost sort of at that stage now where he's going to have to up his game a little bit now, isn't he? And there is another level of Joe Joyce I think we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, look, I think you'd probably say it when after he fought Parker, he was making a good kind of rise up. And so people look at that as like a graph. He's making a rise up, and then it went bang, like straight down. Zhang 1, Zhang 2. People think he's on the decline.
I never understand that because that Parker fight, I've never seen a man take uppercuts like he got thrown at him from Parker, and then like you say, Zhang down.
Yeah, and I think that what Joe's got to show is that that was a blip. It wasn't a larger decline. I'm very, very hopeful in this fight. We're going to see the Joe Joyce to show it was a blip, that he's back on the up. His stats, his numbers in camp, his strength, his conditioning all look really, really good. But it's a huge fight on Saturday.
Well, anything can happen when Derek's in the house, and you know what he's like. He's probably going to stand in the middle of the ring and throw a few, I think.
Who knows what he's going to do? He's incredibly unpredictable. He's a brilliant seller of a fight. And, you know, one thing that doesn't matter to him is a loss. His reputation, he can get beaten by Joe Joyce easily. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. He's going to go into the next fight.
Listen, we wish Joe very well in this fight, and hopefully both fighters come out fit and well. Last week, Solomon Dacres, not a bad performance, mate.
Not bad at all. Like, I thought it was a slow start. I thought it was a very slow start from Sol, but he stepped it up and he started to show, give the public a bit of information on how good he is, because he's an absolutely outstanding boxer.
He kind of sneaks under the radar a little bit, doesn't he? And then all of a sudden, fight week, he just pops up. There's a little bit of fuss about him, and then he just pops away again.
Quiet guy, he likes his own company. He's not really into the razzmatazz of it all. And when you have a fighter like that, they've got to deliver in the ring. Because if they don't deliver in the ring, it's really hard. You know, you compare him to a Johnny Fisher, he's delivering outside the ring and in the ring. And so if Johnny has a lukewarm performance, which he hasn't, but if he does, he's still Johnny Fisher. He's still got the reputation. Look at Derek Chisora. He's losing fights, lost 13 fights. It's not affecting him because of his reputation. So you've got to deliver in the ring, and that's where we are with Solomon. And right now, Solomon is delivering.
And where'd you go next with Solomon?
No, we want that British title. That's what we want. I think Wardley and Clark are going to fight for it in October, November, something like that.
It got done today.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. And so he's probably not going to fight for that until the first quarter of 2025. Therefore, he's got to fight someone else this year. Adelaide's the obvious fight. Sol's very annoyed with him. He's pulled out 3 times. It's going to be tough getting Sol to accept that and not believe there's another pullout.
I was going to ask you about that because it's very, very frustrating to see such a good potential fight not happen 3 times because of the opponent pulling out. Are you going to actually give him that opportunity to do it again, or?
I spoke about this at the weekend. Maybe there should be a penalty clause or something. If he pulls out, he's got to do this. There's got to be some disincentive to pulling out. I don't know why he pulled out before. I thought he was injured. I saw him on Saturday night. He seemed in fine fell. I don't know why he pulled out. So it's hard to know what was going on.
Let's keep our fingers crossed that whatever Solomon does next is that extra step up that puts him in the arena for the British title, because I think that's a great platform for him right now.
Absolutely. That's where he should be.
Now listen, the man who sort of started to just see how it would go, Johnny Fisher, he's all of a sudden he's got there, and he's a serious contender now, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, look, everybody said about Johnny, yeah, he sells loads of tickets, but he's not that good at boxing. But now he's showing everyone how rapidly he's improving. You compare him to a Sol Dacres. Sol's got that GB heritage that Johnny doesn't have. But Johnny's improvement on the job is incredible. And his rise and his ascent just gets better all the time. So yeah, he's really showing people what he's got.
I like the fact that he's only just fought, big sort of show down here in London, and he's now at the Manchester Co-op Live Arena in like 4 weeks' time, and it's testament to his fitness, his strength, his conditioning, and the desire to actually rise up that ladder.
Yeah, and he's fighting Rudenko, who's fought
Not easy.
who's fought pretty much everybody. Just fought Jared Anderson. It's not an easy opponent. Johnny treats boxing like a full-time job. He doesn't have anyone has a full-time job. You might have a week on holiday or something, but then you get back to work. That's what Johnny does. He had a few days off. He's killing it every day, and that's what gives him the edge against other people.
Is there a collision course with Solomon and Johnny?
Maybe. I think Johnny right now is a few steps behind Solomon in terms of where they are. I think Solomon should go on to the British and Johnny should go on to the English. I think at some point in the future they could meet, for sure. But I think right now, no.
Okay. I mean, it's nice to see such a nice lad as well, because he's a nice lad. I think he's almost surprised himself a little bit. Do you think that?
Possibly. I mean, he wanted to do work experience with me, like back in 2020. Like we brought him in for sparring, and he's just gone on and on and on, and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and now has the potential to be a huge star. You know, a heavyweight from Romford, Essex, who's really, really good, who sells loads of tickets. Pretty unheard of, isn't it?
Tell you what, when those slightly bigger fights come up, you'd be tempted to take him overseas again for one of those.
For a big fight, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we are seeing perhaps the end of an era in the heavyweight division with kind of AJ, Fury, Joyce, Dillian White, Parker, these guys haven't got that much left. And I think the next generation coming through is probably headed by Dubois. It's probably got Johnny Fisher in it as well.
I hope so, because there's going to be a few colourful nights out, isn't there? Now, listen, I'm not going to keep you much longer because the room's packing up and you've been doing interview after interview after interview. But I just want to quickly touch on what's happening with boxing, because I had this conversation with someone quite high up in boxing a few days ago. It's all kind of solidifying now. It's going into one umbrella. Turkey Al Sheikh is bringing all the promoters together. Some people like it, some people don't. I see it as a positive. What is your view on this?
Yeah, I saw he announced a deal with Golden Boy. He announced a deal with Top Rank. He works with Eddie. He works with Frank. He's now working with Boxer. It's moving towards. I mean, look, if you're a fan of boxing, it's brilliant for you because you're going to get the big fights made. So if you enjoy watching boxing and you're a fan sitting at home, the product is going to get better and better, I think. But there are knock-on consequences for the industry, um, primarily, and it needs to be thought about. It needs to be thought about a lot because there is an established industry that has survived for years and years and years, and it's about how younger fighters get built on different cards locally, how you go. So if you take it all to Saudi and LA and Wembley, you remove that next layer down. You remove effectively the lower leagues, and without the lower leagues, you can't have Premier League players because every Premier League player, it's not like there's academies you pick from to go straight to the top. Every Premier League player came from the lower leagues. Anthony Joshua appeared on people's undercards. So did Tyson Fury. So did Alexander Usyk. They all appeared on other people's undercards. So you do need to have a much more accessible sport. That, but maybe that's in the plans of Riyadh season. To say, okay, we're going to have these shows here, and then to compensate for these shows not happening, in each country we'll do this, this, and this, and that would work.
That's my thoughts, because like you say, the small hall shows, boxers are on those small shows generally stay there till 10, 11, 12 fights, and unless they were very, very special, and then that's their golden ticket. That's their one chance of getting on a TV show and showing the world. That's going to be removed, surely, because the opportunities are going to be so much less.
Yeah, I think it does have unintended consequences which aren't great, but I do think they can be overcome with thought. You know, with like real, if you have real thought that goes into it, you can replicate those things. We need that small hall scene to continue. Look at look at the British champions that have come out of that small hall scene. Look at Brad Pauls winning at the weekend. Like you need that to happen, but also you can't just be pushing boxers who are being brought up on big undercards. Like you need that scene.
Well, it's very interesting, and we could sit and talk to you all day. I always appreciate your time. I know it's only a couple of times we've spoken, but we wish Joe all the best at the weekend, and I hope that you guys have a very good end to the year, mate.
Thanks very much.